What's going on, everybody? It's Q here from Retro Q Gaming, and I want to talk a little bit about the PlayStation 5. Now, specifically, we're going to be looking about the hidden costs related to the PlayStation 5 for several users. This, of course, might only apply to 2%, 5%, 10% of users, but if we can expect another similar generation to the one we have now, we can probably assume that it will sell roughly 100 million units, which means it might still affect 2 million, 5 million, even 10 million users. And this all relates to hidden cost coming from storage space. Now, storage space is always a concern ever since they started using hard drives and all in consoles, or at least from the 7th generation onwards. And in Sony's case, with the PlayStation 3 and the PlayStation 4, they made it very, very easy to change the internal drive. And because the drives that they were using, even in the PS3 at launch and the PS4 at launch, were ridiculously outdated and obsolete, well, it made it very, very easy and very, very cheap and affordable to buy large capacity drives. Hell, you could even use external storage with these consoles because most of the time, with the exception of factory in the USB bus as well, most of the time the drives, external ones, were faster than the regular old bog standard internal stuff. Now, this is all set to change with the next generation and the PlayStation 5, simply because the PlayStation 5 is going to have a very, very high-end SSD. And because every single PlayStation 5 is going to have one of these SSDs, every single game developed for the PlayStation 5 will be developed with this base level in mind, which means that you will no longer be able to play PlayStation 5 games from external drives. So that 8TB drive you have sitting around ready for the PlayStation 5, well, you're only going to be able to store PlayStation 5 games off it and then be able to transfer them back onto the console. Of course, you can also play PlayStation 4 games and PSN games off it, but we're talking PlayStation 5 games here. Now, given the fact that the PlayStation 5's drive is 825 gigabytes, when you factor in usable space, when you factor in operating system and all as well, something Sony are very, very poor with when it comes to optimization and storage space. I mean, the PS4 OS is something like 100 plus gigabytes as it is. And of course, increasing game install sizes. As next gen comes, we're going to have higher quality assets, higher quality textures, which of course take up more space. Which means you may be hitting storage problems and storage limitations much quicker than you're expecting. And herein lies the problem, because in order to replace the SSD in the PlayStation 5 with something of equal quality and speed or greater, you're looking at spending a lot of money. For example, a drive compatible with the PlayStation 3 or PlayStation 4 in 2TB capacity at the same speed as the drives in there will run you about 70 odd euro, maybe 70, 73, 75, depends on the exchange rate at the time you buy it. Now, since currently there are no PC drives until August which will match or surpass the PlayStation 5 drives, I'm going to give you an example using the next best thing, the closest we have to it at the moment. Pretty much the fastest consumer level SSD on the market at the moment is the Corsair MP600. This drive is slightly slower than the PlayStation 5, the PS5 coming in at 5500 Mbps, this drive coming in at 5000 Mbps. But this is the top of the line drive at the moment, so naturally it gives you an idea of the price point you can expect for something like this. So the 1TB version of this drive is currently 220 euro, whereas the 2TB version is 430 euro. Now, with the upcoming Samsung 980 Pro series, which will exceed the PlayStation 5 speed, we can only assume that that is going to be even more expensive. Or even if it's not, even if it's just exactly the same price, it's still a huge, significant cost. There's already talk of the PlayStation 5 costing 5, maybe 600, 700 euro. And if you can only install a handful of games at once, well, if storage is going to cost you 50% of the price of the console, there's a little bit of a problem there. And this is definitely going to affect digital users significantly more. If you buy, say, the PlayStation 5 all-digital version, this is going to hit you even harder. But for the moment, it remains to be seen. But how do you feel about the potentially massive outlay you may have to spend in order to keep more than 4 or 5 games installed on your PlayStation 5 at one time?